Hello, hello, everyone. You are in the right place. If you are here for an exclusive interview with Tim Ward on the new Netform cloud, this is so exciting to be here. We're going to give everybody just one more minute to find their seats. Grab their popcorn, as I posted on LinkedIn earlier. This is one you want to grab your popcorn for. This is really exciting news. And we're going to dig in with Tim Ward, one of the original engineers of Netform Enterprise.
Thanks, Teri.
All right, looks like we've got a good group coming in. Oh yeah, we got a good group here. All right, hello everyone. What a good group of folks joining us today. You are in the right place if you're here to dig in on this serious yet hopefully a little bit fun too conversation as to why Netform Enterprise was re-architected. So good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are in this wonderful world right now. We're going to go behind the scenes with one of the original creators of the association management software that is, I think, a household name to all of us, Netforum Enterprise. I'm here with the well-known Tim Ward. Thank you, Tim, for being so gracious to let
You're gonna make me blush, Teri.
to let me drill you with all kinds of questions today. I'm so glad that everybody's here. Welcome. Okay, I'm going to cover a couple of housekeeping items, then we're going to jump in to the meat of why we're all here today. So this webinar is being recorded, although I use the word webinar there. That's not a webinar. This is kind of what I might call it, exclusive behind the scenes tour with Tim Ward. It's an interview. Yeah, we might be in webinar format, but it is being recorded. So if you want to pass it along or you feel like a colleague might want access to this interview, feel free to harass me, or you can find it on the Review My AMS blog next week. Along with, you can harass the community brands team. I'm sure I'll give you permission to even harass Tim here, just like I'm going to do in a few minutes. But feel free to find it there along with some key takeaways. We expect for your wheels to be turning, especially if you are a client or considering the Netform Enterprise product, and you were probably going to have some questions or comments for Tim. And he is prepared to answer all your burning questions. So go ahead and send those questions to me in the Q&A tab there in Zoom, and I will do the best I can to get to those after my interview session with Tim. And you can see Matt is also here with us today. He's actually going to give us a quick tour, 15 or 20 minute tour of this new Netforum cloud product. So if you're intrigued and want to see it in action, we encourage for you to stick around for the portion with Matt. Okay, I found a quote that will hopefully get you in the mindset for today. Tim, you too. Another smarty pants, Albert Einstein, once said, "The measure of intelligence is the ability to change." Ooh, we are talking about change today, aren't we? So let's get down to today's business. And for that, you're probably wondering who in the heck I am and why I'm positioned to even have an interview with Tim Ward. And so I'm Teri Carden. I am the founder of ReviewMyAMS.com. And I'm actually the founder of a new to market software called 100 Reviews. For those of you that may not know, ReviewMyAMS is home to, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm going to say this number, more than 1,140 end user reviews on 70 association management systems. Yes, AMS, kind of like Netform Enterprise. It's as simple as you give a review of your current AMS, and once the review is published, then you get access to read all the reviews. Think Yelp or TripAdvisor, but for the AMS world. What's really cool is when companies like community brands, Netforum, support ReviewMyAMS. Guys, what it really means is that they stand for transparency in this marketplace. And if an exclusive interview with one of the creators of a product is not does not scream transparency more than anything else, I don't know what it does. But they are listening to the voice of the end users of the products, and they've got their ear to the ground on what is happening in the association technology industry. All righty, the moment we've all been waiting for, Tim Ward. I promise I will be gentle on you today. I don't know about our listeners here, but we'll see. So with that promise, let's get started with something super simple. Take us back a few years. What was the original mission of Netforum, and what was your original role?
Netform was the first web-based AMS in space, and the mission was to be sort of this all-encompassing CRM web-based platform for associations, like the hub of their ecosystem. I was the chief technology officer at Avectra, and I was serving as the lead product architect for Netform Enterprise when it was envisioned and created.
Okay, very good. So I often call myself a girl geek in normal girls clothing, and you went up that geek level like by 20-fold. So I've had a chance to have coffee or drinks with you, and every single time it's a learning lesson for sure. So awesome. Okay.
Well, likewise, Teri.
Thanks, Tim. Okay, so take us then to where we are today with your current role with Community Brands. Tell us a little bit about why you jumped on board with Community Brands and what your role is there now.
Sure. So I was formerly up until last year, founder and CEO of Gravitate Solutions. We were primarily a services company that served the Netform Enterprise and Nimble AMS communities, not exclusively, but primarily. And we also are the creators of the Nucleus data analytics platform for associations, for the first purpose-built solution of that kind for the association space. We were acquired by Community Brands in December. It was not the plan at that time for me to become GM of NetForum, Aptify, and Nucleus. That kind of happened a month or so later. And in sort of having conversations and getting understanding what the needs were and what the state of affairs were, one of the things that really got me excited, and I have longstanding ties to the Netform community. Like it's in my DNA. It's almost 20 years. So I have a lot of connections there with people, with clients, with the technology, with the folks supporting it as well as using it. But one sort of the cherry, and I was pretty sure I was going to come over and accept the GM position, but sort of the cherry on top was when I talked to our R&D team, and they started telling me about Netform Cloud. And it got me really excited because it's a big step forward technologically. It's I think the first cloud native AMS in the space, serverless cloud native, which is a sort of a techie thing. But more importantly, what I saw was a future path for the client base, right? And so why blow it up? Technology either evolves and improves or not, right? And not is not acceptable. Okay, so it was time. We needed to sort of modernize and give the large loyal customer base a future path. We've got you covered for the next 10 or 15 years till the next big thing comes along. And so I got really excited about that, and came in as GM, and the rest is it took me a few months to get my sea legs, and now we're kind of really kind of firing in all cylinders. And it's not just the technology. I'm also coming in and trying to there's a lot of I see a lot of areas of improvement for us in support and services, and just streamlining our teams and making sure that we're we've recently brought a client success team on board, so that we have another team whose role is to do outreach to clients. So it's not less the clients calling saying, I need this, I need that. The client success is, hey, how are things going? Hey, renewals coming up in 120 days. Let's make sure that we're ready for that. And so just more resources bring to bear to sort of provide a better customer experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. It sounds like it's been a holistic approach, both internally and to the product itself. So that's beautiful, and it's I can totally see why it was attractive to you all over again. When I am doing sessions, I do a session on the 10 commandments of transitioning your AMS, and one of them has to do with the evolution of the technology. And if they don't have a roadmap that is bringing you to modern times, you might as well hang it up, because in 5 to 7, 10 years, that technology is going to be antiquated. So good for Community Brands, and good for them for bringing you on board. I want to go over what the general interview or overview of what's going on with the actual Netforum cloud. And what was super cool is I actually got to have some original conversations about what was happening with cloud. Lucky me, I got to be privy to this announcement before it was officially announced at AMS Fest recently. And I love that y'all teased me with that little secret. But it was so energizing when I was talking to the team about it, because I was like, oh my God, I think it's like, you know, Enterprise has been blown up, you know, and rebuilt. And hallelujah, you know, it's been, like you said, like 20 years in the making, right? But what I think you really want to say is, okay, no, Teri, calm down. We didn't just blow the whole thing up, okay? What is a better way to describe what has been done, and give us a general overview about what the heck is really going on with Netforum Cloud right now?
Yeah, so let me start. I have kind of maybe this will be a fun, like, let's start with an analogy from the corporate world. Ford Motor Company, right? Ford Mustang, iconic, classic muscle car. You know, everyone loves the Ford Mustang if you're into cars. Why would Ford make a Ford Mustang? You know, why would they make an electric version of the Ford Mustang? Because the needs, the times have changed, the needs of the customer base has changed. They're looking forward into the future to see, like, you know, where things are going. And clearly, you know, petroleum-based vehicles are not the future, right? Electric and other sustainable energy sources are the future. And so it's that, you know, it's still a Ford Mustang. It still looks awesome. It's still iconic, but they've sort of re-architected the, you know, the insides, the guts, the engine. And so that's kind of what we've done with Netform Enterprise. And so, you know, I'll give you one example. We've, you know, with cloud native, we talk about cloud native. And so cloud native means that, you know, not only, it's not hosting. It's not about hosting, you know, like, because a lot of times I have conversations and the first thing is like, well, you're just hosting in Azure. No, we're not actually. The architecture is serverless. So there's still our servers, but they're managed by Microsoft. So all the things that we deal with now with upgrades and patches and all that all goes away. That's all part of the, you know, Microsoft's providing that through the Azure platform. And so we'll be able, that enables us to focus on the application and things that we can do to take advantage of that cloud platform. For example, this is one that should resonate with many people listening. In the past, when we're running, you know, we're hosting the application on servers, you know, the load that associations have in terms of volume of transactions, it varies. It's not the same all the time. So the classic example is, you know, large professional society, there are calendar dues cycle, January, December. Everybody and their brother renews their dues the last week in December, right? So the load on the system at that time is way more than it is all the rest of the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so in the classic, the way we, you know, the old way of doing things, we had to provision the system so that it could support that load all the time, even though it didn't necessarily need to. In the new cloud architecture, we have what's called auto scale. So auto scale means that resources can be provisioned on demand, and the system can add more cowbell as needed as the load goes up. And so that provides, you know, again, you don't have to have your system provisioned for your busiest time all year round. As resources are needed, they are added on. That could include adding new web servers to the load balancer or whatever. As resources are you know, resource usage goes down, resource can go down, and the costing is, you know, is based on usage. So that could be also we could be able to provide some pricing relief there, because you're paying more when you're using more, and you're paying less when you're using less. So that's one really good example of you know, the kind of things we mean when we say cloud native, and then it's not just, you know, lifting and shifting to AWS or whatever.
So it's like instant scalability. Like it's
you know, horizontal and vertical scalability. Yeah, mm-hmm. Just automatic.
And so instead of you guys focusing on the server aspect of it and having to keep all that, then now you guys can focus more on the product itself, right?
We can, yeah. And so another example, things that we had to do ourselves in the past. So, you know, caching, how boring is that? This is, you know, boring. Caching, but caching is sort of something that's done with web-based apps to improve performance. Netform Enterprise, we rolled our own caching system, you know, a long time ago. It served us really well, but, you know, that's really not, that doesn't really, that R&D and effort doesn't really benefit our association customers directly, right? It's not really our core focus. So as we re-architected for cloud, we're now using an Azure service that uses Redis. And Redis, if any web developers out there or system developers might have heard it, it's like a best-in-class open source technology that is for caching. And right, so the benefit of us using that is, A, we don't have to support, that code base is being supported by somebody else who's continually improving it. So as it gets better, you know, our system gets better. And then again, more time that we can focus on our core competencies. And so there's all kinds of examples of that. And this is, you know, again, we're not just hosting Netform in Azure. We've completely, you know, we've given it the electric engine on top of the, you know, below the Mustang iconic classic chassis.
Yeah, those are great analogies too. And so I'll often say, I think the reason why some of these AMSs look the way they do, forgive me for throwing the term enterprise in there, but just any enterprise solution that's in the association, you know, management market, you know, they tell you you're beautiful at 9:08 in the morning, and they change your baby diapers, and they do all of these things for you. And part of the reason why is because, you know, that the core competency, due to the needs of specific associations, has completely gotten them off of the focus. And so it sounds like what you've done is taken some of those extra technological distractions out of the way so that you can focus on the things that associations need for the system to do.
Yeah, and another great example is around network security and data privacy. And I know that's top of mind with, you know, we've had ransomware attacks. Well, you know, today we have a private data center, and it's on us to manage all that. And we do. We have a dedicated network security team. They're credentialed professionals. They're not just on the Netforum. They're sort of an independent group. And so they advise us and all that and help us, you know, and if there's an issue, we deal with it. But, you know, again, moving to the serverless cloud, like we just get all that for free. And like, you know, we get encryption at rest and better PCI compliance, and all of those things are just sort of built into the infrastructure platform that Microsoft's going to provide us through Azure. And so that's also, you know, less risk for us, less risk for customers, and just a better story overall, if, you know, for something that's a real top of mind concern for, you know, every IT executive these days.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm having this visual right now. I think it maybe has something to do with these rage rooms, or whatever they're called, these rooms where you get to go and you take a baseball bat or you take an axe or something and you bust all these things up for $20 and you just get this out of your system. Why do I visualize, you know, the requirements that were documented many years ago? Why do I visualize you burning those or doing something really monumental with this? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. So I will say that we did not do that. There was no, I don't know, there might have been some rage. You know, that I haven't seen any rage. I've seen excitement, but we did really, some of the things that we've achieved were really difficult, and they took a lot of investment, a lot of work, a lot of hard work by our team, and a lot of it was done before I was here. But so I'm, you know, giving them some props now. But you know, they've done a really good job. We're really excited about it. You know, we're sort of starting to roll out clients now, and you know, we feel like we're back.
Super exciting. I love it. Okay, so you've never been afraid of responsibility. That is clear. You did not give us a full bio of who Tim Ward really is and where he came from. We got oh yeah, I'm kind of a, you know, sort of the nerd punching out code here, and I know really smart things, but like, that's total downplay. I wish I had done your intro for you, because you've never skirted responsibility. You founded Old Town IT, Gravitate. You did mention you've worked with many AMSs. I mean, you know, let's talk about, you know, like you mentioned, 20 plus years or 20-ish years, the roots in the association technology world. You've had your hands in all these systems, you know, really like knowing where the bodies are buried in the code stuff. Like, this is really the nerdy stuff, guys. But what is even cooler is that, and I was thinking about this interview, I was like, you know, over all of this time, you've gotten to see real organizations struggling, swimming in the deep end of like, what the holy hell is association in this technology evolution even happening anyway? Like, when technology really started to become a thing. You've seen associations learn to invent, reinvent, try to their best at answering member needs, you've had this really cool global perspective over the last 20 years, specifically tailored to association technology. I mean, talk about commiseration, celebration. You've seen it all, you know?
Success, failure.
Yeah.
Sometimes I like to tell my team, you know, the culture I've always had is like, look, you guys, it's okay to make mistakes. We're going to make mistakes. So what's important is how you learn from it. So
How you learn
and I
from
like
it.
to
Yeah.
say, like, I've made every mistake that could be made over the last 25 years. And of course, then the next week there's a new one that but
Right.
the idea is that like a mistake is just, that's a way to learn. And then you just have to do better. That's, and the other like thing I've carried with me that it's almost every day. It's like, I go out there every day and I leave it all on the field, right? I'm all in. And someday, if I can look in the mirror at the end of the day and say like, all right, I made things a little bit better today, a little bit better. And most days that is true. Some days you have, not all days, right? You have bad days, but, and it's because it is really a lot. There's been a lot of change over the last 25 years. I've seen, we started with client server and then it was web and then it was mobile. And now it's, it's digital transformation and, and so, I feel like it's a sprintathon, but it's sort of like, you're just trying to continuously get better and improve and, and deliver more value, and so, yeah, it's fun. I'm energized. And that what's different now is I'm, a lot of my work before I came back to community brands, it was more technical in nature, more geeky, so like introverted, and so but problem solving is really what I enjoy. It's really problem solving. And so now it's a lot more people problem solving than, and so it's a new kind of problem solving that I'm finding that I enjoy because we have great teams, we have great clients. Yeah, there's always issues every day that we have to deal with, but it's really, we have good people who are, our clients are trying to make the world better. That's really gives purpose to what we do. We have a great clientele. And so, there's always problems and issues and difficult conversations, but that's a small part. It's really overall, it's a good story.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. So, okay. So what, through all this, commiseration and celebration and these failures and these successes that you've witnessed firsthand, what you've also seen is how associations are using, or for lack thereof, like not using their data, right? And I think a few years ago, you had this light bulb moment, and I have no idea, maybe it wasn't a light bulb moment, maybe it was like over the course of a few wines or a few bourbons and not just like one wine or one bourbon, but you answered this realization, and you developed another solution to answer the needs of associations and their data. Tell us a little bit about Nucleus.
Sure. And so it wasn't a light bulb moment. I think it was the fact that, I started my career on the AMS vendor side and we were building AMS solutions for associations. And so I was kind of had that, that view. But then for the next, with Untitled and Gravitate, we focused on services on the client side, right? And so in doing that, you just get a whole new perspective about things. And one very common, it was almost a running joke for a while that so we would say, associations would say, we have all this data and we have no idea, we just have no idea what to do with it or how to leverage it. Or, we sometimes know how many members we have, but, if you ask 3 different people, you get a different answer. And so that was a fairly consistent, that we would hear it from, a lot of different places. And so, the idea, and then you look around at what the vendors were doing, everybody was so busy with their roadmaps, whether it's the AMS or like the, community platform, whatever the point of line of business application was, those teams were all, busy and had, if they were good, they were busy and they had lots of clients, and meaning they had lots of ideas for enhancements. That nobody was really focusing on integrating the data across all those solutions. And so we came up with the idea of Nucleus. What if we did that? And so, Nucleus is basically it's a data platform that ingests data from any source, any AMS, any you can upload data. It's agnostic. It doesn't have to be a community brands product or a, an association technology product. It could be any data. And then we have this sort of data pipeline. It's all cloud-based. So we have this composable pipeline, meaning we can configure it, and it's basically, think of it as a ginormous task scheduling system that data comes in at one end. It's like the sausage making machine. Data comes in the API at one end. We put it through all these permutations and manipulations and outcomes, wonderful charts or other outputs that then provide useful information, enabling associations to sort of leverage their data as an asset in decision making as they make hard decisions about their programs. And so that was the idea, and we've been at it for 5 or 6 years. And now that we're in the community brands family, we've got this whole new set of things to integrate with and connect to. And so a big part of the strategy, and one of the things I've heard about community brand, it's like, we still hear this is a big point of focus from us from a corporate perspective, is that clients say, I use more than one of your products, but sometimes it feels like I'm working with separate companies, right? Mm-hmm. And that could be like a project management thing or a sport thing, but it also could be like, the idea of the integration part, like the data, like, so with Nucleus in the fold, we're kind of thinking of it as a connected network ecosystem where the first thought was like, well, let's just build integration points between all these things. Well, community brands, we have 80 different products now in the portfolio. So if you think like, so if 80 products have to build point-to-point integrations with 80 other products, that's not a good, right? That's what, 6,400 integrations. I
was going to say, I know you have that right off the top of your head.
Yeah. So like, let's think of it a different way, where we have sort of a central repository where we can bring the data, let the line of business solutions do their thing as best they can, focus on what they do best, pull the data somewhere else, and then have another infrastructure that sort of like makes it into useful insights. And so that's kind of the idea. And we're we're sort of out, we're out there in the marketplace and doing it and being really successful. But now what's really exciting is we're going to be able to sort of bring that experience more into the user experience. So like in the future for Netform folks, like think of it as like, we're going to bring analytics, metrics, insights into your experience. So, right, Nucleus, as when we were outside of community brands, has its own app. It's kind of its own place to go. And so that's, from a user perspective, it would be better if, like, while they're doing their daily job in Netform, they have some of this data available right in their without having to go somewhere else. And so that's something exciting that we're going to be doing in the coming months and years.
Yeah, for sure. So I love that, you're kind of the brainchild of both of these products. And so there's got to be a beautiful working behind the scenes of the programs. I do want to hear a little bit more about the advantages or this natural weave of technology, and how those systems work together. And how Nucleus and Netform are more in sync than probably ever before because of this. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think one big advantage is going to be just the ability to just sort of do that, do sort of seamless blending of the data from these different systems. And so, what do I mean by that? So like, any product that you use, it's like association, if they use Google Analytics, well, Google Analytics has nice charts about what's going on in Google Analytics. But and that's great for measuring web traffic, but it may not include all the rich demographics that are in Netforum, or it may not include like really interesting things that are going on in the member community platform, right? And so with Nucleus, the ability to bring it all together in one place and then blend the data together, it gives you the opportunity. You can derive additional metrics and insights that you just can't do without having all the data in one place together. And then, if you're talking about folks want to get into advanced things like predictive analytics or AI, to me, those things, if you're going to like tackle that, you really need all the data, right? You can't just use the data that's in the AMS. You need to use all of the data that's in your ecosystem. And so we've actually done measurements where, when we look at it, Nucleus in our data lake, how much data is a client using, right? And so they've got Netforum and Higher Logic and an email marketing platform and Google Analytics. And where's all that data come from? And so probably really surprising to folks is that the AMS, the transactional data from the AMS it's usually less than 20%, and that's going down, right? Because the data that has volume, like data created by members and all these systems of engagement is much more voluminous, and than is the rows and columns of a dues payment or things like
Makes
that.
sense.
So it just thinking about it, and thinking about that problem in a different way, and that an original, if you asked about the original Netform days, the original was like, we'll just dump everything into the Netform database. That was the original, like everything's there, right? It sounds so great, but it becomes untenable, especially in today's. There was a big move away from monoliths to best of breed, right? You've heard like Reggie Henry, best of breed, which was sort of started with the iPhone and apps, like apps on your iPhone. They do one thing really well, one thing awesome, that's sort of the concept, and so now like nobody's product's going to do everything really well. Microsoft wouldn't even take that on, right? So that was sort of a big impetus as best of breed got traction with associations, and they started using all these really cool apps to do specific things really well that maybe their AMS didn't do or didn't do well. Now that became this need for like, okay, now what do we do with all that data? And so Nucleus solves that problem.
Wow, interesting. So that's a beautiful marriage. I mean, right? That's kind of how it's supposed to work, right? You take the core competencies of both of them and serve up the best applications. So it's been an exciting update. As a reminder to everyone, Tim's going to be here with us for a little bit. We're going to jump in and actually see behind the curtain of Netform Cloud, the new Netform Cloud, with Matt in just a few moments. But if you have any questions for Tim, go ahead and drop them into the chat here. I am for darn certain that Community Brands is communicating probably ad nauseum around how this is being launched, what it means to the Netforum enterprise clients as they are right now. But can you just give us kind of like a high level? I've got a question that has come in about transition and all that good stuff, and like when there's a new solution that is served to the market, sometimes the first year is a little bit rocky, right? Sometimes the smart association execs like to see a full year of dues renewals and events and all the cyclical things that go along with association management business. Tell us a little bit can you just give us high level about what is going on with the current clients and how cloud plays a part in all that movement?
Absolutely. So I'll give you what we're doing, the plan. Right now, if we got a new client right now, they would go directly into cloud, because that's our best solution for all the reasons we talked about. We also have we have some clients who are still on premises, who are not either have a server closet or rack space or whatever. And so we're actively we're reaching out to those folks saying, hey, we have a better thing now, please come. And then we have all of our clients in our private data center, and we're at renewal time, we're offering them cloud, and then we've had some take us up on it, and some are like it's kind of early, just as you said, and so that's fine. And then the other thing is the path to Netform Cloud. So we have this. We've had a challenge with customers being on different versions of the software, and we've been making really good progress getting folks moved to our Netform Enterprise 2017, which is the current version of Netform Enterprise. 2017 is for your right. Note that we're not doing the year anymore in the name, so that was something that we're not going to put the year. But anyways, the path to cloud is through 2017, and so we have a goal internally to get everybody on 2017 by sort of the middle of next year. And then we're going to start, on the normal renewal cycles, we'll move people into cloud after that. And obviously, if somebody's really hot and heavy to go, we're open to talking to them about it. But we sort of have a plan that, we recognize we're sort of early, right? We're early in the process. And so we want to get some pelts in our belt. We want to have some use case success stories that we could say, hey, here, see this client, had a great experience, and they're willing to tell others about it. And so it's not going to be a stampede by any means, but we're going to do it in a sensible, logical, and follow our plan.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that totally makes sense. I mean, if you had to ask my advice on how it should be done, it'd be just like that. So there you go. Okay. So we have another I don't know what EOL means, but Tim, I'm sure you know what that means.
End of life.
Oh, end of life, right? I did know what that means. I was thinking way deeper than that. So it sounds like, looks like we've got like a couple more questions coming about specifics on Netforum Enterprise. We can either do that, or we can jump into like what we're really, really excited about for the future of Netform Pro. And we can answer a couple of these questions about end of life for Netforum 2017 and all that stuff later. It's up to you.
Let me answer that one, because I
Okay.
think that would be like, there's no plan to end of life 2017. And so once we get we want to get everybody on 2017, and we have some sort of Microsoft deadlines that are pushing that. And so we want to get them there. And but once they get there, we're not going to force them to cloud. We'll keep 2017 going as long as folks are on it. And yeah, one stat I wanted to, I know upgrades are traditionally not the most pleasant thing for Netform Enterprise. And so I want to just address like why it's important that we get people on the latest version. So we've had a real push to upgrade people, and it's been, we've been doing 4 or 5 every month and having good success. And we're starting, we really closely measure our support metrics for like bugs coming in and cases. And we've seen a year over year 2021 compared to 2020, which is kind of a COVID year. So, but also comparing to 2019, we've got like a 60% drop in new bug cases that come in from clients. And the reason for that is that we were getting people on the more recent version, and therefore things that were issues are no longer issues. And so I just wanted to put in a plug for that. That's, I know that upgrades are not the most fun thing. And again, in cloud, that's going to change. We're going to have much less infrastructure to worry about. So those upgrades will be naturally more painless, more seamless. But I just wanted to I know that it's a kind of a thing we talk about a lot with the install base. So I wanted to get that out there.
Yeah, no, that's super helpful. I think for the client here as well, that's really good information. Obviously, you heard it here, it's recorded. So it's 100% true coming from Tim Ward's mouth. And I'm sure he'd be happy to talk in more detail about transitions and what's expected from 2017 and clients and all that good stuff. And I'm excited to hear about some of those client successes after, a full year or two of the cycle. Yeah, so I know some associations are just more prone to wanting to experiment and see and get to the next new thing, the shiny new thing, and some are a little bit more hesitant. So it totally makes sense that you're bringing people on in a way that is good for everybody. So cool. So okay, so this has been a super exciting update. I really do want to dig in, Matt. But first, what is it that we really, really have to look forward to? I mean, this isn't an audience that is engaged with what in the holy heck is going on with one of the most well-known household names in the association management world, and they're going to hear it here first. Is there anything that we need to know that is coming our way with the new Netform Cloud?
Well, so we talked about the Ford Mustang getting the new getting the new engine, right? That's sort of like, this is like step one of a multi-year process. So some other things that are coming are, we're going to be revamping our APIs. So we have this XML API called XWeb that everybody uses, and they've learned it over the years. It's not necessarily the most easy to use thing, and sort of XML is kind of legacy technology. So coming this year, we will have a REST version of that API, which is to web developers out there. REST uses JavaScript object notation, which is a much more lightweight and easy to work with payload if you wanted to make a shopping cart that talks to our API. So that'll be step one. And then next year, we're actually have phase 2 of that will be like a REST API architected according to like RESTful principles that developers are used to working with other applications. So that's sort of big API. Why would we revamp the API? Well, to make the system more integrable to other solutions. So if folks in the past, if you had your website on WordPress and you wanted to do an e-commerce thing in WordPress back in that form, that was probably harder than it should be today. Right? So better APIs, more easy to use APIs will help that. On top of that, there will be an eWeb. We have eWeb as sort of our member-facing component. We're going to revamp that next year. And so again, just be better integrable, better able to be embedded in other sites. probably less bias on the CMS features. Like the original concept for eWeb would be like this mini CMS within Netform that you could build your whole website on. But these, things have gotten way more sophisticated than that. So it'll be less about CMS and more about being able to be integrated seamlessly into a WordPress or a Drupal or whatever. Continuing, UI enhancements is a continual thing. We've had, I remember back to the early days, we've had 5 or 6 or 7 different UI refreshes in Netform. The most recent one is in 2017. We're going to put more effort there to, again, that goes to usability, customer experience, but not just like new CSS. Like some parts of the system really need, we've reimagined the bottom up, right? So some parts of the system also need to be sort of reimagined, re-architected for today. Like our centralized order entry component you can sell any kind of product, but it can be kind of clunky and cumbersome, right? And so we're going to kind of look at that through another lens and try to figure out how we can streamline, how we can make it easier, how we can make people able to, process their daily transactions for the staff more quickly and with fewer mistakes. So it's kind of a multi-year plan that started with the cloud re-architect and has a lot of things behind it that we're working on.
Okay, yeah, all of that. Y'all hear all of that? That's really exciting stuff. Okay, so we actually do have a couple more questions that have come in, and I do want to get to those, but let's first jump in. Matt, I'm going to turn it over to you. We've got Matt Rohr here with us. Tim's going to stick around so he can answer those questions that have come in. I promise I won't forget about you guys. But Matt is a sales engineer. He has actually been around the Netform product and association technology since about 2004. So he knows his stuff, and he's going to give you guys a run through of the new Netforum cloud, so you can see it in real life. Take it away,
Cool.
Matt.
All right, thanks, Teri. I appreciate it. And I thought, I assume some of the people on the call are familiar with the Netform history and have been involved with community brands. But if anybody's out there that's kind of new to community brands, I'll just kind of set the stage here. Netform itself, it's very rich functionality, 30 plus modules, very configurable, all of that. But then if we kind of back up a step, as Tim's been mentioning, the community brands family has a bigger kind of ecosystem, things like learning management that can plug right in, event tech, online events, career centers. So all of that, I just wanted to kind of mention that from a high level. Just know that we've got you covered in terms of all this, the ecosystem that associations need. So specifically, just some visuals here that I had in terms of the cloud, and Tim is actually the best person probably to talk through the specifics of this, but I just kind of wanted to get this visual up here. The end result of this is that when you have a giant event and I don't know, a couple thousand registrants are hitting the website at the same time, that it's going to work great. And the end result is that you're going to have a great experience both for staff and for members. All the details of that are parts that are encompassed within some of these tools that are associated with
Hey, Matt,
Azure.
can I just jump in here? So
Please
we
do.
talked about
Please
some
do.
of these things already, and I'm not going to repeat, but I wanted to highlight on, Agile Devops processes. So traditionally with Netform Enterprise, it's kind of, we've had issues at times with stability where, why is the site down? And well, our internal developer deployed something and it broke, or a partner did, or we did. And so the Agile DevOps is a more formal, structured, sensible way to sort of manage that change management thing, where it's not just people copying files to the site. There's actually a DevOps, a pipeline where, code-based pipeline there. And so that means if we're going to deploy changes, what be they baseline or be they from a third party or from the client, there's sort of an order to it, and it's done in sort of a formal code-based manner. And so that we start with test. Did it work? Yes. Okay. Now we can go to prod. If not, go back. And so it won't just be. We've had so many. A big thing I hear from customers, like, we need more stability. We need and sort of the way we handled deployments with Netform Enterprise traditionally, which worked fine, but it was not as. This is a much more modern and formal and structured process for handling change management. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks for adding that color. That's perfect. So for the sake of time, I'll just kind of skip through this, but just know that we've got tons of fans. As Tim mentioned, we're very proud of that customer satisfaction rating. We've got a 97%, so super proud of that, and we're carrying that into the future, and that's our goal. So with that being said, quick intro. I like short PowerPoints. Let's jump in here. And the way that I wanted to kind of show this is just some of the details. Netform does so many things. And for today's demo, I've decided to kind of focus on two things that you might not expect the AMS to do. And sure, I could show you join online, auto renew, all those kind of standard membership features. Netform just eats that for breakfast, so just know that. But I can show you that in a follow-up. For today's little sneak peek here, you might be surprised to learn how Netform can deliver relevant content automatically or understand your members in new ways. And so I just kind of focus on that and just kind of pull back the curtain a little bit. All right, with that said, let me bring up Netform. And this is a demo site here that I'm using. And so kind of act one of this is delivering relevant content to your members. Netform makes this very easy through what we call implied interest codes. And I don't know of another system out there in the market that can match Netform's ability to deliver relevant content. Here we have a member record. And so this is the staff view. And I can see things very easily here. Aaron's contact information, his organization. I can see that he is a member. And then on the right-hand side, I get a view into really anything he's done throughout the system in various modules. I can see membership, I can see event registration, and so forth. Now, I'm happy to dig into these at a later time, but for today's purpose, I want to focus on one particular list, and that is his interests. And so here I can see that Aaron is interested in volunteering, which will come into play nicely when I query people who might be interested in serving on the next committee or the next round of committees. But as it turns out, Aaron also has an interest in robotics, and the association does not know that yet. And so I want to kind of play through this scenario. So what I'll do is I'll log into Aaron from the member portal from the eWeb and here we have Aaron logged in already. So from the member side, Netform has pre-built templates functionality that's going to allow members to update the personal information, register for events, join, renew, all that good stuff. But for today's purpose, something catches his eye on the home page, and he sees a certain event. He's like, robotics area vehicle controls. That looks pretty cool. And he gets some more information on that, and he's going to register for this. Now, before he does, I want to pull back the curtain a little bit, and from the staff view to show you what's going to happen here when he does. And to do this, I'm going to actually use my favorites link. Now, this is a part of the NetForum navigation. It makes it very intuitive. I love this. So anytime you're working on a particular record in whatever module it is, it's really one click away. You can click on it, and here I'm in the events module looking at that event from the staff side. And if we look at that, we can see that there is an interest code of robotics connected to that event, which means that anyone who registers is going to inherit that interest code. So Netform is learning from the behavior of the members. So let's see how this plays out. All right, in this case, it's a free event. So of course, Netform has the all the e-commerce that you would expect, but it's going to kind of take us through this here real quickly because it's smart enough to know that I don't have to put in my credit card information. So it's kind of an RSVP, thanks for registering. And in this case, it's as easy as that. He's registered. He can see that from his page, but I can also see that internally. If I use my recent contacts and go back to Aaron's record, I can see that came right in, and he is registered for that event. More than that, though, from his interest lists, notice that now he has an interest in robotics. So that's an example of Netforum learning from the behavior of your members. this is the cool part here. Notice that this implicit checkbox. So the volunteering was something that that Aaron said, yep, I check a box, I'm interested in volunteering, and that's fine. But if you wait for your members to check a box for everything, you'll be waiting forever, right? So so what this has done is to said, you know, it was implied by his registration. So that's the kind of thing that Netform can do. I want to take this one more level, because the next question is, well, what if we think he's interested in that, but what if he's just a little bit interested in something? Can we kind of throttle that? Can we gauge that? And spoiler alert, yes, Netform can. Let's take an example. So in this case, he's going to go on the web page, and I have a have a little article set up as an example for this. Notice that Aaron just has those two interest codes right now. But I have an article set up for optics of the eye. And so maybe he's like, oh, that looks kind of interesting. And so he clicks on that, reads the article. Well, guess what? That's behavior that Netform can track. If I go back, I'm going to refresh that. Notice now he has an interest in optometry, right? That's super cool. It's both an implied interest, but check this out. The intensity level of that interest, I've set to it 1, because I'm thinking, well, registering for an event, looking at an article, right? It shows a different intensity. And so Netform can gauge that. And I love that, because now you can do things like run a query and say, show me everyone who's interested in optometry and has an intensity level of, let's say, 10. Right. So
Matt,
now
can clients configure those intensity levels themselves when
thank you. Yes, exactly right. They can. When you set up the interest code, you can decide the levels, and then each action, then you can kind of decide how that affects that level. So yeah, thanks for mentioning that. Even to the extent that if, well, let's say he's pulled back to that article. There, let's see, I'll just go back to the news archives. Maybe he goes back to it, and if you go back to it, maybe he just needs to finish reading, maybe he wants to share it with a friend, whatever that is. To go back to it implies a little more in intensity in his interest, and so Netform understands that. And so watch this now. If he's got intensity of 1, and since he visited again, now it bumps up to a 2. So super cool. I love that. Hang on one second. I get so excited that I can't talk. But that's the kind of thing that Netform can do with kind of gauging interest. We can run a query and find everybody within that. For the sake of time, I'll show you one other thing that kind of automates this process. Certainly, I can manually find those anyone who's interested in a certain topic. But even more than that, I can go within our 30 modules here. I can go to the marketing module, and perhaps I have a campaign. I'm going to use this event promotion campaign. Maybe I want to promote some of my events around these topics. So, how do I get people to register, more people to register for topics that are around robotics or optometry, or whatever it is you want to do? Well, what we can do is have targeted campaigns. So based on this, I can say, you know what, I want to find everybody who has some level of interest, and I want to target them. And this will find those people automatically. The behavior happened, it triggered the interest. The campaign finds that interest, sends them an email. Super cool. I would even say, kind of as a pro tip, one of the things that you marketers out there would probably know this, that it's also helpful so that you don't become kind of an internal echo chamber with these interests, is to occasionally expand, occasionally look for people who don't have that interest. Maybe they have an adjacent interest or not at all, and occasionally send it to those. That way you're actually growing that group and finding more people who might have that interest. So that's the kind of thing that Netform can do. And again, it's a great way to make it easy. The only thing you have to do once you have this all set up, you just kind of sit back with a glass of lemonade and let Netform does its thing. So it's a great way to do that. And I want to keep an eye on the time here. The last thing I was going to talk about was just understanding your members in new ways. And so this really comes into that analytics part of it. And so this brings in Nucleus, and it's really a companion part to Netforum. I just wanted to give you a quick preview of that. These are some basic dashboards here. They're feeding data is feeding in from Netform into that data lake. I can see total members. I can see breakdown of members based on various things here. I can see breakdown of member type, gender, whatever it is you need. We can tweak that so that you can see your breakdown of members based on that.
Hey Matt, can I add some color commentary?
Please
do. To extend, so the use case about implicit interest, very interesting. With Nucleus, we can extend that sort of to the next level, and we have some documented use cases where an association, they're having trouble retaining members who are newly they were students and now they're professionals, and it's a period where they're vulnerable because maybe they're they went from getting a free membership to now having to pay, and gee, are they established enough in their career? And so, but another thing is like, what do they do? Being able to see, bringing data from all the different places, right? So we got the data from Netforum, but the case is like they're not going to our events and they're not retaining, but in the community, they're talking about certain topics or certain things. So we can do some analysis of community posts. Hey, they're really interested in robotics for some reason, or electric vehicles. Let's have a session at the next conference about and highlight that content, and then market those folks who are talking about that in the community, and sort of like get see if that helps get them to the events and maybe helps them stay with us. So that's sort of taking that learning, Netform learning implicitly to sort of the next level that involves all the data from all the places.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks so much for adding that, and that's exactly right. So the first one was about members, and now you can see here, this is an example of new topics on your community. Well, geez, that's not in My AMS. That's not in Netforum. That's the point, right? So it can bring it all in, bring it all together. Here's discussions, and I could show more. Here's an LMS that we're bringing in, completions of courses, top courses. That's not Netform data. That's okay, right? So it's the beauty of kind of bringing that all together. And with that, I'll kind of stop there so we make sure we have some a little bit of time for questions. But Teri, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thanks, Matt. That's really exciting. I have one quick question. So clearly there's taxonomy that's been established so that those tags can happen, right? Can you have more than one assigned interest, or is it just one assigned interest?
No, you can have more than one. I could have done that so for that event, it could have been robotics, but maybe that's a technical workshop, and so I could put on all my technical workshops, I could put that this person's interested in technical workshops, so they would get more than one for that registration, or frankly any action. Yeah, good
super cool application. Yeah, that's awesome. And we did have a snarky attendee here today talking about how excited he is that we're now that Enterprise is now in the cloud, and I think he's pleasantly surprised to see some of these enhancements to the product as well. So thanks so much for sharing that, Matt. So this is a good segue from seeing Nucleus embedded in Netforum. We do have an attendee who's asking about Nucleus and being able to use that with their existing Netform Enterprise product. How do people who don't have Nucleus turned on yet get it turned on, Tim?
They would start by contacting their, if they're an existing customer, they would contact their client account manager, their CAM. And so that would be either Angie Lucas or Susan Stewart Kelly. Yeah. And then we would be happy to do a demo or just, talk about what their needs are. And we've got some special pricing discounts in place right now to sort of entice people to get on board.
Okay, good deal. All right, that's awesome. And then another question that we have that came in was, I'm toggling between the chat and the, okay, here we go. So one user asks, attendee asks about Pro. So I know that's a totally different product, but they're inquiring about Pro. Is there anything new that's happening in the Pro world that they need to be informed of with all of these changes happening in Enterprise?
So that's a good question. Netform Pro is not in my I'm not the GM of Netform Pro. Netform Pro's moved to kind of our, what do we call it, Matt? We have our Enterprise AMS group, then we have the group with YM is where Pro is now, and so that's David Gelhoofy is the GM there, and so I know we're going to continue supporting Pro for as long as folks, there's no plans to turn it off. And there might, David might come up with some, there might be some initiative to like, hey guys, maybe you can move to YM. That might be coming down the pike. But yeah, that's a good question. And I know we still have a lot of customers on Pro, hundreds, and so there's no, it's still being maintained, enhanced, no changes there.
Gotcha. Okay, thanks for that. But it sounds like there is more information that can be provided from your colleague. So, okay, so then we've got another question that came from James. Thanks for asking, James. Is there a firm release date for the new API?
So we're doing 5 releases a year. 5, we call them PIs, product initiatives per year, and I of course don't have the exact. I know that the REST version of XWeb is going to be this year, so I don't know if it's like the next PI or but it's going to be this year, Q4. Let's say Q4, and then the second phase is going to be sort of middle to end of next year. And I can do a follow-up, Terry, with Andy Shepard, our product manager, and get more detail on that. But the first piece of it is well along the way, nearly completed. So that's going to be soon. And then the other one, we have more work to do next year.
Okay, very good. Well, this has been such a fantastic update. I know that there are a couple of other questions that have come through that I know are very specific and tailored to the association. So we are capturing the chat here today so that we can get back to you one-on-one. And I know we're a little over time. I want to respect people's time. Thanks so much, Tim Ward, for this update. Matt Rohr for sharing the product with us. Y'all have a lot of exciting things to share, and it's no wonder I can sense your energy, Tim. To all our attendees, so glad you were here to take in this good information from the new Netform Cloud. In light of today's topic, I found some wisdom in Socrates, okay? The secret of change, we're back to change again, because that just seems to be what it's all about today. The secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but building the new. Thanks everybody for being here with us today. Thanks so much. Netform Cloud Community Brands.
Everyone.
Y'all have a great day. Bye.
So long. Take care.